Good morning, doctor. My name is Mohammad Ali ibn Shadat Hussain and my metric number is 191391. My project is about BPO telephony equipment. This project was in the museum. So, firstly, I would like to say about how the first telephone worked for the first time in the history. In this picture, we can see Alexander Graham Bell demonstrating the centennial version of his telephone. We all know Alexander Graham Bell is the inventor of telephone. So how was the equipment then? There was a needle connected by the wire to the battery and the battery was connected by the wire to the receiver. When Bell spoke into the open end of the dermic device, his voice made the paper and the needle vibrate. Then vibration were converted into an electric current which traveled along the wire to the receiver. Here I will say something about Malaysia telephone history. The British, who had a presence in Malaysia from the 18th century, were responsible for setting up country's earliest telecommunication facilities, which over time evolved in TM. We all know TM in these days. In 1891, telephone made his debut in Kuala Lumpur. By 1930, to deal with the huge volume of telephone traffic, an automated magneto exchange was commissioned in Kuala Lumpur on Jalan Weld. In 1930s, all telephone exchanges in the Malaysian trunk system could communicate with exchange in Java. Those days, the Philippines, the United States, Canada, and Mexico were using shortwave radio telephone transmitters. Towards the end of the decade, a Marconi radio terminal was installed at the Kuala Lumpur telephone exchange to handle overseas calls. In this slide, I will say what is business process outsourcing. Business process outsourcing is a type of outsourcing where in a third party service provider is employed to carry out one or more business function in a company. Then the third party is responsible for carrying all the operations related to the business function. It is basically a method of subcontracting various business related to the subcontractor and party vendors. So, subcontracting. Subcontracting is like using the construction industry as an example, where a government body or a company wants to build or make repairs to infrastructure. It would usually award the contract for the job to a contractor. We also can refer to that the practice of bringing an outside company or individual to perform specific part of a contract or project. Here comes vendors. Uh, it is known as a supplier, is a person or a business entity that sells something. We can refer this as an act of business to business sales organization that provides parts of product to another business to make an end product. Now, type of outsourcing. There are four types of outsourcing. One is offshore outsourcing. Here, company hires a company located overseas to fulfill certain work requirements. One example is company based in the United States outsourcing to a company in India or Malaysia, like Intel, HP, something. Nearshore outsourcing. An example of this, if your company is in the USA and you outsource to Mexico or Colombo, And onshore outsourcing. An example is where USA-based company hires USA-based outsourcing firm. Here comes process automation. Software as a service companies also type of outsourcing rather than outsourcing the process business process themselves. These companies let you outsource the software to run those process. Like instead of people, you can use software to organize those process. Now advantages and disadvantages. First, I will say something about lower cost. It is like it can reduce cost by outsourcing the job to an external party. Secondly, focus on core business. This function is very critical for the success of the business. And third one is growth. Focus on core business, like the success, is directly related to the growth of your company. If you are succeed in your company, then you can grow uh, your company. And the fourth one is most important, global expansion. If a company wants to expand their business in overseas, it is very effective to use BPO because they are very experienced in these years in these specific sectors. So here comes some disadvantages of BPO. So I will highlight two of them. One is communication issues. If there is communication gap or issues, uh, there will be some lacking in your project or delay in your project. Second one is backlash against outsourcing. This can perceive this to be inferior quality at the expense of domestic employment, which is depends on the country basis. So that's all from me. Thank you.